Well,
Oh my
as a
God, I
brief
love it.
introduction, I want to
Yes.
welcome back a photographer, traveler, cyclist, fashion aficionado, watch enthusiast, podcast host, of course, a podcast former guest of this show, only to return, and really an international man of mystery, Zach Pena. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Wesley, appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me back. Psyched to be here. Hail to the king, Wesley.
Oh,
Congrats on
Jesus.
new dadhom, new
Thanks,
product
man.
launches, all the
Thank
things.
you.
Man, you've been on one this year.
It's been a busy year. I want to talk about this sweater you're wearing. It kind of reminds me of it's either it's not LL Bean because I have a black
No.
sweater almost just like that from LL
But
Bean.
this is kind of in the realm, and I'm so happy that like it's finally below 50 degrees here because
Yeah.
I can wear sweaters and layer, and that's my favorite thing about the Bay. But it doesn't get below 40. It just hovers between 40 and 50, which is sweater weather. This is
Right.
actually an old like triple lot design sweater.
Okay.
Like Overlord maybe. It's kind of
Okay.
there. I think it's inspired by like the British Commando type North Sea sweaters with the shoulder patches and
Good for
layers
backpack
well.
too because it doesn't
Very
like
good for
pull on the
backpacks.
natural fibers and such.
Exactly.
Um,
I mean, it's kind of amazing. You've because how did Standard Age start off? Because you guys started off with like t-shirts and stuff, and you've become more versed in like other parts of outerwear. So like the last time I saw you, we were like so far down the suede rabbit hole, which is a rabbit hole that I've also gone down
yeah.
coincidentally this year and last year.
Yeah.
So it was fun to connect on that.
Yeah, I mean, well, really, we launched just with a hat in
Oh,
2015,
that's
and
right. Okay,
I
that's
still
right. That's right.
stock that hat, but with like a better patch, right? Like I'm always trying to
Right.
improve on the last thing, and
Right.
um, but I will say my t-shirts, I kind of not to give myself flowers, but like I haven't changed much about my t-shirts at all. Like I kind of just like knocked them out of the park, but I knew what I wanted, and I knew, everyone listening, I'm sure already know, like I've
Yeah.
been in this industry for 25 years. So like I know product, right? So I know like what I wanted and but can I sew? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? So
No,
it's one of the
the t-shirts that you have are flawless. Like the fit is great, the
well,
quality's
thanks,
there.
man.
Like you can tell. Yeah, for sure.
Um
Big fan.
looking back on your year, what are the standout moments? Like what
Oh man.
I can name a couple just as an outsider.
Yeah, I would love to hear the outsiders. I mean, I certainly have my because I'm always, like I there were a couple big projects last year that people recognized and talked to me about, and I still get asked questions about, but they were extremely difficult and very stressful, and I still have PTSD from some of them. So it's always funny to hear sort of what the outsider's perspective is before I share mine because I may omit things that that may seem cool to people on the other side of the fence.
What was the one from last year that most people talked about?
We did a big desert campaign in down in the Mojave
Oh, right,
with an old
right,
car that we kind of trashed, and it was just a huge thing.
right. Yeah, yeah.
We fixed the car and cleaned it, and the owner was happy with it, but he was pretty unhappy at the outset. And
Right.
so
Got it.
it was funny because actually one of the PAs that was on that project texted me like 2 or 3 days, literally to the time of this recording, 2 or 3 days ago, saying like, "Hey, look what my Google just reminded me of." Because you get those periodic reminders on your phone
Yeah.
saying like 1 year ago this thing happened, and
Yeah.
she sent me a text from like the desert from the day that we were all out there, and I was like, wow, I've like completely blocked this out of my memory and my camera roll entirely. But like for her, it was like a fun day in the desert where she got to kind of help shuttle crew around and like, help help keep the machine turning. And I just remember like, yeah, I was just stressed out of my mind. It was one of those days that like it was a 2 day shoot, but we started like day two started like my alarm went off at like 4 a.m. And then like we shot all day and then we had to drive out of the desert. I had to like wash and return the car. And then I had a flight out of LAX at like 11 p.m. that
God.
ended up getting delayed several times. So I didn't get back to San Francisco. I crossed the Golden Gate Bridge, so I was like 20 minutes from home at 2 a.m. So it was like a full like 22-hour day. I think I got home at 2:30, so it was like almost a
Wow.
24-hour day. And it was also like I dropped the car off. Again, this car is cooked. Like it's been ripping around in the desert for 2 full days. It's like it's stacked with dust. I dropped the car off. You know the In-N-Out at LAX? There's like the famous
Yeah, on
In-N-Out.
Sepulveda. Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't know you can walk to LAX because the drop off for the car was a valet next to that In-N-Out. And I
So,
was like, as I was like running to catch my flight, because like, it took 45 minutes to go 8 feet and because that whole intersection was so completely, this was just like one of many stressful things that happened that day. I was like unable to return the car on time and with traffic. So like, I have all my camera stuff and I'm like running and I see the In-N-Out and I'm like, oh, that's where all those photos are from, and then like a Korean Air flight buzzes us and I was like, oh, that's the shot,
oh,
like
dude, I have a sick photo of a
there's so
Delta
many sick
Airlines
photos from this
flight,
spot.
like right in between two palm trees.
Yes. Yes,
I'll have to
it's
send
so
it to you.
sick. I want
Which
to
is
I want to see what
funny.
you have.
We're both How Long Gone listeners, and they were
Yes,
just
sir.
talking to someone who just did
About
you hear that
walking.
about why?
Yes, about so dude, this is so funny that all this is coming together because like so she texted me and she was like, "Yo, that was such a fun day in the desert." And I was like, "LOL, no, it definitely was not. That was like a 22-hour day for me and I have no good memories of that whatsoever." And I was like, "That was the first day that I walked to LAX because I heard that How Long Gone episode where they were talking about LAX and I was like, that was the first time I was reminded of this project in like 6 months or something." So I was like,
Oh my
"Damn, I
God.
think that was the day that I had to walk to LAX because the traffic was so bad and I had to drop that car off that, like it stalled in the intersection and we just like pushed it up to the curb, to the valet curb. Like it'd been driving flawlessly in the desert for 2 days, but you can't drive old cars in the desert and
Right,
fill them up
right.
with dust because if you know better than anybody.
Sure, that's crazy.
Yeah, old.
I
So anyways, it's we could probably do a whole podcast about my PTSD from that shoot, but the images in the film and everything turned out sick, and here we are. That was a year ago, though. That
Well, that
wasn't
was
this
a
year.
year ago. So this year,
Yeah, that was
look,
November.
I'll tell you since you asked what my outsider perspective was. I mean,
For
obviously,
sure.
I'm gonna name the Porsche event in the Alps, right? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was sick. That was
I
so
mean,
sick.
so my understanding is you got off an airplane and had to ride a bike 40 miles.
Yeah, no, like 80 miles. Well, 40 for like the shakedown, and then 80 for the big day. And then we did another 70 or 80 the following day, just as like a recovery ride. And then I got back on a plane. Came
Now,
home.
oh my God, remind me what that
It was hectic.
was. What was the project? Was it a Porsche design project or was it a cycling project or
Yeah.
what
No,
was
that's a good
that?
question. It was kind of a crossover. It was the folks at one of the cycling brands, SRAM. So
Sure.
SRAM makes
Components.
group sets, yep, components, wheels, group sets, etc. They're friends of mine, and they hit me up saying, hey, we're doing this special event kind of in Austria with Porsche because Ferdy Porsche, is he the great grandson or the grandson?
I think he's the grandson.
He's the grandson. Yeah. So Ferdy is sort of like the chief vibes officer of Porsche. So he's in charge of like putting on cool events and stuff. And Porsche, the automaker, has an alpine hut, like a mountain hut at the top of the Grossglockner, which is the highest mountain pass in Austria, and it's the highest paved road in Austria. And it's kind of above the little town of Zell am See, which is the birthplace of Porsche, is my understanding. I came into this whole project as a cyclist, not as a car guy, and so
Right.
kind of along the way, I'm learning that this is very kind of sacred grounds for car
Yeah,
people.
all the car photographers fucking hate me
Yeah,
now.
I mean, truly, and it makes sense. Yeah, I feel it felt a little. I felt a little bad, during parts of this ride, just because I was like, this is like hallowed ground for auto people. But the Grossglockner is a high mountain pass, often bad weather, twisty roads, high speed climbing, high speed descending. Um, and so since its opening many hundreds of years ago or whenever it was, it's been kind of a testing ground for Porsche. They've
Hmm.
been doing they probably test their modern stuff somewhere else now, but it was sick though because on the day of, so the idea was Ferdy and his team was like, so they regularly have auto rallies up to the mountain hut. It's
Right.
called the Mankay, which is the marmot, the high alpine marmot.
It's like his brand, right? Or
The little
like
angry
the
marmot. Yeah, it
yeah.
kind of is. And that brand has become sort of like a lifestyle brand. They have like t-shirts and
Yeah.
they do events and
There's
stuff. So
fat
Fat FAT,
international.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the FAT International Mankay Alpine Hut is like the full sort of name of it.
So
So
sick.
yeah, the idea was just like we're just gonna invite a bunch of like cyclist people that we know out to like ride up to the Alpine Hut and like have lunch and have a party up there and then ride back down. It was like the premise was fairly simple. It was not really a race, but generally speaking, when you put 100 or 200 cyclists together in a mass start, like the first like 20 or 30 guys are for sure racing, and then everybody else is just kind of hanging out. So yeah, that was the idea. And so I was like, as soon as that came across my desk, I was like, well, this sounds super fun. This is perfect for Hodinkee because we could tie in a Porsche Designs thing because Porsche Designs has they have a Mankay watch. They introduced a limited edition titanium carbide watch with the little angry marmot on it on the dial when they opened the hut 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think.
So cool.
Super, super cool. So I was just like I'll wear the watch and we'll shoot some photos of it and I'll go ride my bike and we'll tell this story that kind of touches cycling and autos and watches and that's what we did. So the story's up on Hodinkee and I'll share the link with you. I sort of wrote the story as I was racing, not racing, riding up. I take little voice memos every, come around a hairpin and you feel something and do a little voice memo and then on the plane ride back, kind of compile the memos and write the story. And
Can
it
you
was
give me an example of that? What is something you would say
well, no, so like I'll
in
yeah,
as a
so
voice note?
yeah, so like just kind of taking like mental notes. So for example, like there was a group that I was riding with at the beginning. There were probably 8 or 10 of us. We were sort of pace lining. What's cool about the Grossglockner is that it is I think it's a 16 or a 17-mile climb.
Yeah.
So uninterrupted from this little village, basically 17 miles of up. And what's crazy about it is there's no even the switchbacks don't flatten out. There's no flat. You're basically just climbing for that entire time. And I've done big climbs in Utah and I've done big climbs in other parts of Europe, in Switzerland and in Austria and in even Mount Baldy, actually in LA. There's one of the approaches on the LA side, like the direct south side of Baldy. Like instead of, is it Mulholland that kind of goes up I'm trying to think.
I, I
There's a
I've never
there's
been
sort
to
of,
Mount Baldy actually.
oh, you haven't? Oh,
No.
really? Oh, it's sick.
Yeah.
You should get up there.
There's like a little ski hill there too, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the climb, the cyclist climb goes to the ski hill basically. And during the tour of California, which went up to the ski station, but
Yeah.
they approached it differently. They approached it from the west. I can't remember the name of the highway that kind of, you go up and then you kind of go along like Angeles Crest maybe.
I mean
You have
maybe.
LA listeners who are screaming at me right now. I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm completely getting this wrong. Anyway, there is an uninterrupted climb from the base of Baldy that you basically go up from the south, and it's probably 12 or 14 miles of up with nowhere to rest or hide, which is really pretty tough. So I was like, I sort of held that in the back of my mind. And so to go back to your question about the voice notes, as I'm climbing and I'm just starting to observe the fact that like you've been going up for this amount of time, and I'm kind of keeping track of my power output and my heart rate, and I'm just taking little mental notes of that in the recording so I can refer back to some specifics about, the exertion and sort of how my body feels, and then observing like the sound of the cows kind of across the valley and the smell of the earth as you pass. There are places where the alpine streams are kind of coming out of the walls that you're sort of climbing through more or less, and observing the smells and yeah, and kind of just passing certain things along the way or hearing, yeah, just seeing and hearing things and trying to remember as much as possible. But you're in zone 4 or zone 5 in some of these spots and you take your
Yeah.
phone out. It's a lot of me just like really heavy breathing and then trying to compose a thought, and then later on the plane like translating what I was probably trying to think or say in that moment. And
Do you delete these
I
voice
do.
notes?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
bummer. I was like,
Yeah.
what an interesting Instagram reel that would make of like
You
your
know, it would be.
photography and
I
using that
should
as a
keep
voiceover.
yeah, I should keep them around. They end up occupying quite a bit of space.
Yeah, sure.
But that is a good idea to hang on to those.
Just make the
But
clip
there's
and then
there's
keep it.
wind, but I do riding is an amazing way to sort of stay fit, but also to stay sane. And I feel like for me, it's really it helps me kind of organize my thoughts a lot
Yeah.
as well. So if I'm I'm putting together a production or something and I'm trying to remember who I know that lives in this place or that has this talent or that could be, assist with whatever part of the production. I'll just go for a ride and it kind of helps me clear my head a little bit and then I can
Yeah.
focus enough to figure out who needs to be on that thing. And so oftentimes I do like other stories and things that I work on, like I'll pull over to the side of the road and either take a voice note or jot something down in my Apple Notes and then pull it up on the laptop later. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Tell me about the
yeah.
show part event.
Yeah, the show. I know. Sad. Sad. I missed you. We caught you at the IWC thing though, but the show part thing was really fun.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
that's
another Hodinkee story, kind of a connect. 2 years ago, or I guess it would have been last winter. It was at the very beginning of last winter. Um, Went to Alaska and shot photos of bald eagles for Chopard, and turned that into a story for Hodinkee as well. And so they called me back. They were putting on an event in LA with a bunch of Chopard collectors and fans, and it was cool because it's as a photographer, like there's nothing more fun than to see your work in some physical medium like
yeah.
printed or whatever. And for the dinner, they had printed out 5 photos from that adventure, and
Wow.
they gave them as a gift to people in attendance as like these little postcards. And then they printed out a bunch of other photos in like these big like sandwich style boards that they peppered around the room. So when you walked into the room and sat down for dinner, there was this big sort of Alaska theme kind of around everybody. It was surreal. It was really cool, and
Wow.
got to tell a little bit about the story and about eagle conservation. Yeah, it was a good time. I'm a longtime Chopard fan and appreciator, and that was
Yeah.
a cool thing to be a part of.
Well, I bet you said the word surreal, which I bet it was because, like, I mean, I guess for me, it's like seeing my apparel in the wild, in a certain way.
Right?
But then for you, there's like, it's almost like not music, but it's almost like for you, basically, they're just creating this room with your work. And if I'm understanding correctly, you didn't really know what they were going to do with the
No,
work. So you're
no.
actually experiencing it in a way that's not even known to you,
Yeah,
which must be wild.
that's exactly right. Yeah, I kind of walked in. It was interesting because there was very little. It was nice because they trusted me enough to say like, hey, we would love for you to tell us a little bit about tell the room, like talk to people about the adventure. But it was very like unscripted, and it was really special because I got to share sort of my take on it and recap the story a little bit. But without kind of the usual guardrails that you get at a lot of these events where everything needs to be sort of pre-read and pre-approved and pre this and pre
Right.
that. It was really nice. And so to your point, like I went into it also not knowing what they were going to do with the images. I supplied kind of all of my favorites from the show and a resolution that was high enough for them to print and said just go nuts. And I walked into the room and was kind of like, oh wow, like okay, these guys are cooking.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
so
really
cool
cool to see
because
what they
like
did. Yeah.
usually I would imagine they would tap you for like some version of like art direction or something, but if
Correct.
they
Yeah.
didn't do that, like that's pretty
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, it was fun to be on that
Um,
side. I mean, have you ever seen somebody wearing like a Willie's shirt in the wild and like
yeah,
maybe they don't know who you are, but like you see the shirt and you're like,
yeah.
do you
Well,
go up to them and say something or no?
so it happened in a grocery store once,
Nice.
and I was in line, and he was like checking out, and I couldn't like yell, and I didn't want to give up my place in line, so it's like, so yeah, so I mean, yes, it's happened, and then of
That's
course like
awesome.
if I'm like at wind up or something and
Yep.
like I don't know who's
Yep.
wearing what and I
Right.
may or may not even be at my booth and if I see somebody, the cool thing about the brand is that like the better the customer gets, the more I get to know them because
Right.
like I'm such a small company that like
Right.
I'm it, right? So like if you're DMing Standard H, you're talking to
Right.
me. And so
Right.
like I get to know these people. And so then it's like, you know, the bro
Right.
thing. What's up, man? You look great. Thank
Right.
you
Right.
so much
Right.
for the support, the whole thing, but it's
That's
really
awesome.
special. Um,
But that's cool to see it in the wild at the grocery store. I feel like at Wind Up or at like a Porsche get together or something, like those are your guys. But you're
yeah.
like some random dude in a grocery store. You're like, that might not be my guy and he's wearing my stuff. Like that would
Right.
be such a buzz for me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
it was and that was actually the grocery store incident specifically that came to mind for some reason. That was years ago.
Oh,
Like
that's awesome.
that was like pre-COVID. And it
Oh,
was
that's
just
awesome.
like, whoa, like that's crazy. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
it's crazy, but it's not because it's like in my neighborhood. But what's
Yeah, yeah,
funny is
yeah.
like actually now that we're talking about San Diego is not my biggest market by a long shot.
Oh, that's
Like, so it's
interesting.
like I actually don't see a ton of because Vuori's based here.
Yep.
Like, as much as I hate to say that brand out loud, it's like I respect the hustle and what they've built, but I just, God damn it, I'm so sick of seeing it.
That's really funny.
At any rate, you have an Alpine Eagle, don't you? Is it the
I do, yeah,
orange
yeah, the
secondhand?
titanium one.
The
Yep.
titanium. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. God, such a
Yeah.
nice watch, man. Great
That's
proportion.
my bracelet watch. I there's a running joke on the Burlingame and Park podcast that I co-host with the Topper Jewelers guys. We need to get you on that, by the way. I don't know why you haven't been on the pod, but
I
we need
came
to.
on once, but that was like years ago. Like
It was
I think
forever
you
ago.
had
Oh, that's
just
right. Yeah, we
started,
talked about
yeah, in
ALS
in
in
the
the store
office. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the Doxa. Okay,
But
never
yeah,
mind. We need to
I
get you back on the pod.
happy to. Happy to. Yeah.
We need
I
to get you
might be
back on
up
the
there
pod.
towards Christmas. I don't know if you guys are
Okay,
around, but yeah,
that yeah, we're in. We're
doesn't
totally
matter.
down.
Anyway,
What was I gonna say? Oh, there's a running joke on that pod where that I have a drawer full of like unsized bracelets because like I generally try to wear watches on strap even if it comes on the bracelet. Like I'll buy it on the bracelet specifically because I'm a completionist and I like to have the bracelet, but I will most of them I do not size and they sit in my drawer.
that's funny.
Um, and so the Alpine Eagle is the only one that I can't, so I'm like forced to wear it on the bracelet. So I do love it on the bracelet, although I have ordered the integrated rubber strap with with the clasp on it,
That's cool
just
though.
because it'd be sick to have that, and I kind of want to see what that looks like. And they finally did because they did that like blacked out version at Watches and Wonders this year. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that strap would fit mine, so they must have the pieces. So it's in the catalog.
Would you ever put an, do they make an orange strap?
Not yet. I think they just have that one color.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, which is crazy because I feel like they're missing the moment, or maybe I mean, honestly, they've kind of missed the moment as far as like interchangeable straps go, but it's never too late to play a little catch up. And yeah, an orange strap on that would look sick.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that'd be
but
cool.
yeah, yeah, for
Is
sure.
there any other new gear that you're messing with as far as like cameras and stuff go? I'm sure
Ooh,
you're always tinkering.
um, yeah, I actually on the camera side, I was in Hawaii at the time of this recording, I was in Hawaii recently, kind of testing out a new sort of a housing setup.
Okay.
I tried to like simplify and streamline my housing a little bit. Was shooting I've traditionally shot with a dome port. The dome ports kind of alleviate a lot of the refraction and like the weird refraction you get through the water in shooting glass. Like there's all this other glass. If you shoot basically if you put like a flat piece of glass in the water and try to shoot through it, you get all this weird sort of refraction and fuzziness on the image and stuff. So anyway, that's why everybody underwater shoots at the dome port. That's why like if you go down past a certain depth with a GoPro, like they have that domed housing or whatever that you can put on it.
Oh, I never
Anyway,
knew that actually. I mean, I knew like when you look through water, there's
oh yeah,
refraction,
yeah.
obviously. So like
Yeah,
if you're ever trying to shoot something in the water, not that I've ever done that, Zach,
I'm
but
oversimplifying it to a
you gotta
point that someone will send you a nasty email, I'm sure, but more or less. Um, so I've always shot underwater with a dome port,
cool.
but I've been experimenting more with shooting things on the surface, but you need to be in the water for that. So that's like shooting, the curl of a wave, like
Right.
sitting in there's a number of amazing photographers that shoot, all they do is just shoot waves, basically.
Yeah.
Ben Toirard is the amazing French shooter based in Tahiti, I think, who
Clark
does
Little,
stuff like that. Clark Little, yeah, Clark is the perfect example. Yeah,
Aaron Chang,
yep.
which
So
he
those
doesn't
guys are all
shoot just
shooting with
waves, but
yeah, but
more or
similar
less.
principle.
Yeah.
But they're all shooting with flat housings. So same housing, but it's a flat port essentially because you don't need the dome when you're in the water, but shooting something on the surface of the water.
Yeah.
So I shoot primarily with Aquatech housings, and so I've been shooting with a flat. So this Hawaii trip, I took both the domed and the flat port as kind of a
A/B testing.
well, yeah, to sort of A/B test and kind of see and do some more surface stuff, and I've been liking those results so far. But on the camera side, I haven't picked anything up this year. It's been kind of a quiet year for specifically just for camera gear, even though the Leica SL3 finally has like the reporter, like the green, olive green
Yeah.
version. So we'll see. Might wait until after Christmas and kind of see where the see where the dust settles on everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, might have that. That's on the Christmas list, but we'll see. We'll see if
Have
I do
you
good this year.
have you ever been an ambassador for a brand before?
I haven't. I've been an ambassador for a few bike brands,
I was gonna
kind of
say,
in the
how are you
cycling
not
space.
for photography?
Yeah.
Like, how has
Um,
nobody reached out?
I
I
think the
mean this as a
problem is
compliment, by the way.
because I shoot everything.
I
Like I
see.
can't commit to one thing.
Got it. Okay.
Um,
That's fair.
like the roller case behind me is all Sony bodies, Sony glass. Primarily in the studio, I shoot with a Fujifilm GFX 100 system, and then kind of running around out and about like the Leica Q system. We've talked a fair bit about the Leica. I'm such a believer in like there being, there's no one camera that's better than any other camera, but there's definitely cameras that are better for certain types of jobs.
Sure. It's a tool.
And yeah, exactly. And I've having hung out the back of a Chrysler Pacifica shooting moving things with the GFX, I know that that's not the best camera for that job.
Yeah.
Even though the results are sick, you miss so much more than you hit. And so, when you're always trying to improve your hit rate, improve your odds, improve your chances of making sure that like the shot doesn't actually slip away or is fuzzy
Right.
or blurry or whatever. So yeah, I primarily shoot Sony for that reason, and there's tons of coverage on the glass side. I have the Sony's new 100 millimeter macro on pre-order, which hasn't delivered yet. So I did buy something for that was my camera thing that I bought this year.
100 millimeter macro.
Yeah,
Wow.
they have
Okay.
a 90 and they have a 50, and now they have a 100.
Wow.
2.8. So it has the same kind of clutch, manual focus, autofocus. It's like a declutch mechanism, which is very cool. The 90 mil macro f2.8, which a lot of Sony shooters have been using. It's an amazing lens. I've used it plenty in the field, used it on plenty of campaign shoots. It's just quite old. So there's like a
Okay.
proper like 100 mil G Master series lens now. So
Wow.
um, yeah, I'd absolutely be down for shooting all Leica stuff. I feel like, or all Fuji stuff, or all Sony stuff for that matter. But I mean, honestly, even if I were a Sony ambassador, I would probably still keep the GFX on the DL. I'd still just use that because I get asked about that a lot, like what camera was used to do this,
Yeah,
that,
of
or the
course.
other, and I love posting carousel images kind of on my feed on IG, and like oftentimes two or three different cameras were used to create the entire carousel scene. And then if enough time goes by, like I can't even remember which camera was used for the thing. But like again, like if it helps you with that hit rate and gives you the look or the aesthetic that you're after, no
Yeah,
one
I
can
mean
tell.
that's it's kind of interesting too because like let's face it, a lot of people use presets and things like
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
for defining their
Absolutely.
look, so to speak.
Yep.
And totally fair, but when you're using different cameras, like they're all going to capture color a little differently. So,
Yep.
do you ever find that like when you try to lay that over, it's like, oh shit, like I actually should have used that other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't use presets as much as I used to anymore but I
So you
do
just
I
go
do
one by
recommend
one?
I yeah, well, I do recommend you 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 buy presets or you employ presets. Lightroom has its own preset system kind of baked in. Employing them just to figure out how to get certain looks. But once you can sort of reverse engineer the look and pick out the elements of it that you like and don't like to create your own look, um, that I think is helpful. So I've kind of created my own. Um, I mean, I guess they're presets, but I also use Capture One, which has its own kind of system, and so my workflow has evolved to the point where I know sort of what the baseline edits that I want for every image look like, and then I kind
Yeah.
of fine tune it from there. But to your point, absolutely, and presets are sometimes they're amazing, but very rarely can you put like a preset straight off the shelf and have an image that looks amazing just because like and that is kind of the fun thing about photography, but it's like every shooter's environment and lighting situation and everything is going to be completely different. Like so we were up on Mount Tam, for example. This is a great um to amazing and love the mailer story, by the way.
Oh,
And I,
cool.
I don't remember being that optimistic, but I was like, I'm pretty sure this will burn off. And it was sick that we were able to get above it. Um, but what's amazing about Mount Tam, and I think I was telling you when we were driving up there, it was like I've spent so much time shooting on that mountain that I've seen kind of what it looks like at all hours of the day and in all lighting situations and but all seasons as well. And when
Yeah,
we were up there, that was a month ago.
almost to
Um,
the day. It
okay,
would have
about a
been
month.
like October 30th,
Okay.
I
I'm
think.
trying to remember. I feel like it had rained a little bit, but at this point in the season, because like in mid like September, like mid-August, September, Mount Tam is like gold, gold, gold. Like
Hmm.
earlier in the summer, it's more yellow. Late in the summer, it becomes more gold. And then as you get into like October, November, the green starts to kind of push up underneath the gold a little bit. So as I was color grading the images that we shot, like it was gold, but you were starting to get a little bit of the green because the fog is more pervasive. I think it had rained as well,
Mm,
and it messes with the color cast a little bit. So like there are certain times of year when shooting up there around all that grass where like the color cast messes with skin and it just
right, right.
becomes not as cool. So we were up there at a weird time. Like the conditions were perfect, but as far as like if I were to do like a portrait shoot or something up there, I'd maybe like reconsider the location just because with the colors. And now, we've had a ton of rain in the last couple weeks. Now it's like green boy. So
Oh,
full
interesting.
green. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
it's
going to
completely
ask you,
transformed.
I'm jumping ahead here now, but
Yeah, yeah.
and because I knew we were going to be talking about this, meaning our trip to up Mount
Ah,
Tam,
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
was incredible. I remember it was either the other day or through email or DM. I don't know. There's so many avenues how we speak to one another. I can't remember. But you had made a comment that said something to the effect of, "Oh, I didn't really shoot this for ecom or something like that."
Oh, yeah,
And I was like, and I was like, totally fine, right? Like that
yeah,
wasn't really the point.
yeah.
What would you have done differently that morning, you think, if
Oh,
you had
interesting.
your
Oh, that's a great
druthers,
question.
had
Yeah,
you
and we
shot it
were
for
kind of
ecom?
just shooting on like vibes. I was like, I have cool photos of like your hubcaps and the shadows of the car on the road and like your sneakers and like you were like adjusting your camera in the driver's seat of the
Mm,
car that was like the light was punching through it. Like all these very like aesthetic kind of mood shots. But then as I was looking back through the catalog, I was like, I don't have like a clean, well lit shot of your jacket like zipped up, looking like a normal jacket.
oh, that's funny.
And that's what I meant kind of for ecom. Like
Okay,
if you were going to
got
put
it.
it on the website, like having a shot that shows someone who's looking at the photo, like, yes, this is a jacket. Like this is a very sick jacket that you should take a look at.
So we just basically
Um,
made a bra ad where the
yeah,
woman's
exactly.
wearing no clothes, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was all sizzle, no steak,
Yeah, yeah.
as
No,
as it were. But honestly, I mean, I buy so much stuff now on like feel alone that if it espouses a certain type of feeling.
yeah,
There's Imogene and Willie is like one of my favorite companies
yeah,
based in Tennessee
yep.
that I feel like they balance that like their creative directors, the design directors, the people that are shooting, they shoot a lot of digital, but they shoot a lot of film stuff as well. I mean, it is
Hmm.
an e-com company. They sell jeans, they sell jackets and stuff. But they balance that like aesthetic and that world building of art design with physical products that they need to sell that people need to know how they fit and look. They balance
Mm.
that like so perfectly. And I've bought a good amount of Imogen Willie stuff just on like, yeah, these shots are
The
sick. Like
vibes.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I have a pair of like work pants that I got from them and I sort of just bought them like without even really thinking about it and I didn't even read any of the information on the website about the pants and they show up with like a 36 or a 34-inch inseam,
Oh,
which
sure.
means you have to get them
Hemmed.
hemmed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I bought like an art project. Like, I just want to wear these pants. I don't want to have to. I don't want the homework of having to go and get these things hemmed, which they didn't get. They weren't hemmed the correct size the first time, so I had to go back. It
Oh
was this whole
God.
thing. Anyway, but I love that brand and that aesthetic, and I feel like that's a space that you inhabit and understand well. And
Yeah.
so.
Well, you mean okay. You mean just like the process, or you mean
Well, just like the world
product?
building. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
just being up there. I mean, you were documenting it yourself as well, and like you
Oh,
had you
sure.
had amazing images that kind of complemented the whole story that we told from two different perspectives. And I just like that's the kind of stuff that you can sort of sink your teeth into that makes this all like really fun, I would say.
Yeah, I think I mean I'm happy to know that like I enjoy shooting photos a lot
Right.
because I sure don't have the budget that 99.9% of the companies have. So yeah, like I've got to do this stuff myself, right? Because
Yep.
I can't always afford to pay people
Yep.
in one way, shape, or form. But yeah, it's interesting, and I had a blast that morning. It was amazing.
That's sick.
The jacket turned out really well.
Dude, the
Not that
jacket
this,
turned out amazing. It
yeah,
was good
not
timing too. Again, I've been so far down the suede rabbit hole that it showed up and I was like, "Oh, I know exactly what you're doing with this. This is
right,
pretty sick."
exactly. Yeah,
What was the
calfskin. Okay, so
what
not
was
light.
the Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for kind of putting that together? Like you were just like, I want a suede. Do you have other suede jackets or?
So I have a nubuck jacket that
Okay.
is similar. And basically, I forgive me if somebody's listening is like, Jesus, Wesley, like we've heard you say this 1,000 times. But it's basically like everything that I make is either something I've owned before and can't buy again, or
Right.
it
Oh, I
just
like that.
it doesn't exist, or the details weren't right, and I've sort of I want to use the term innovate extremely
Yep.
loosely here,
Yep.
but
Yep.
like it's one of those things where like I have to tweak that, or I
Yep.
need this to be that longer or
Yep.
this much shorter or that kind of zipper pull or whatever.
Yep.
So for this jacket in particular, it was one I had actually bought on my honeymoon in Florence. And
Nice.
this is 6 years ago, I guess now. That is like a jacket I've worn a few times and get good compliments on it, but it's a different color and technically a different fabric altogether.
Okay.
Um, and so, and then the proportions are, it fits a little. I mean, my stuff fits snug anyway, like it's pretty form fitted stuff.
Right.
But like this is like Italian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm built like a Japanese man. Like I'm very square. And so like at any rate, yeah, so it's all sort of derives from that point of view of
No, it's amazing.
wanting
And I
something
love that
a
it
little
is
different.
there's so much the more time I've so my brother is a kind of a designer of like high-end menswear, specifically like leather jackets and stuff in New York. And so
Yeah,
I spent a fair bit of time this year concepting and building out like we shot his latest collection back in October, I think, or September.
sweet.
So there was a good number of months kind of in the lead up and the planning to that. And that was happening while I was also falling down the suede rabbit hole and the leather jacket rabbit hole. And like
Oh yeah,
there's so much there's so much like leather stuff out there for men that is like cosplay leather jackets. And
sure,
not to yuck somebody's yum because there's amazing jackets for everybody out there, but like, the classic biker and aviator jackets,
right.
a lot of them feel very like costumey.
Yeah,
But there is also something undeniably deeply cool about a sick leather jacket. But it's like finding the one that kind of speaks to you and fits you to to what you were saying that
yeah,
that fits and also sort of disappears into an outfit or whatever. And I love the design that you chose is more of like a Harrington style with sort of the McQueen, like the stand collar and the snap. Like
yeah.
it doesn't scream leather jacket, but it is, it fits like that sort of well-worn baseball glove feel, which like everybody's always looking for that just like you slide your arm through it and you're like, oh geez, like it feels like a glove.
Yeah,
Like
and
that's the goal.
even though there's like sort of moto
Yeah,
attributes of
sure.
it, it's not black leather moto jacket that you can stand up on
Sure.
its own,
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful about suede. Not that this needs to become an advertisement for my jacket, but like
We can
it's
nerd out about
the
suede.
beautiful thing about suede, just in general, to your point, I think, is at least for me personally in my use, is that soft nature of
Yep.
like the break-in period is borderline null and void,
Yep.
right? And I mean, Bell Staff historically has done really good stuff.
Yep.
I love Private White. I love
Oh,
their
I'm
outerwear.
such a huge Private
I don't
White
know if they
fan.
do any leather per se, but like that's an outerwear brand that's like I could aspire to compete with,
Yep.
if nothing else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And actually, I've been loosely in touch with the guy behind that brand,
Oh,
and
amazing.
so I would kind of like to get him on this show just to,
Oh, amazing.
or maybe do a collab would be
Yeah.
incredible.
Sign me
Like,
up. I'm a
Yeah.
huge Private White fan.
Yeah. I love that brand.
I and it's one of those they're one of those brands too where it's like once you figure out what a brand's core competency is, it's a lot more fun. And
Yeah.
I've tried Private White trousers. They don't work for me. But like for
Right.
some reason like their jackets, I have a couple other pieces. I have like one of their wax jackets
Sure.
and a couple other kind of like field shirt pieces and then I have some stuff from their collab with Todd Snyder, which was also really good.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did
But
that.
those dudes just make like an amazing jacket. Like they've just figured out how to, but it's also like it's the UK. Like no one should know how to make a better jacket than the
Yeah.
UK. It's
Yeah.
like jacket weather 365 days a year.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I kind of want to do sort of a, you know how like uh, photogs do like what's in the bag, but I kind of want
Oh
to do
yeah,
that for
sure.
your watches. So
Uh-oh.
you've got the Chopard, and I know you've
Okay.
got the Vacheron, which we talked
Okay.
about I think in our previous episode.
We did. Yep.
Uh, you acquired a time zoner this year.
Oh yeah, I have a time zone. I know I almost wore it today. I felt
So that I'm particularly interested in that watch and like the
okay.
story behind it, why you chose it, how you got it, where you got it, all, you know,
Sick.
what's the backstory there?
Yeah. I damn, I should have worn it. I feel bad that I'm not wearing it right now.
It's all
Um,
good.
the
What
reason
are
I'm
you
not
wearing?
wearing it right now is I popped the watch box open today and I checked the date on it and the date is more than 10 days away and the time
No,
zoner does not have a quick set date. You have to walk the hands around like old school Rolex style and it takes a long time to
yeah,
set the date.
that's
So I didn't wear it
hilarious.
for that specific reason. That being said, it's an amazing like I travel a fair bit. And I do most of my collection at this point is like GMT or like true GMT multi-time zone watches. And to be fair, the time zoner is it's kind of a weird complication because you know the rotating bezel like for listeners who don't know, the time zoner basically it's a three-hand pilot watch that you rotate the bezel and it jumps the hour hands in single hour increments. That's all it does. It's not a dual timer, it's not a world timer. It doesn't show the time zone in more than one place at one time. It it's kind of misleading a little bit because there's an aperture at 12 o'clock in the dial that shows like the time in a 24-hour scale and most dual times or multi time zone telling watches, that shows a different time zone. And the first time I saw it at Watches and Wonders back in 2019, I think, when it debuted, it was this Spitfire edition because they simplified it. It premiered as like a chronograph, which was kind of a mess, but looked very cool. But it was huge and thick, and it's still
Busy.
huge, but it's just not as
Yeah.
thick as it used to be. Um, but anyway, in 2019, they stripped it down as the Spitfire, which was a limited edition. And I just the first time I handled it, I was like, okay, the ethos of this watch is completely kind of ass backwards because it should be it looks like a dual timer or world timer, but it's not. But the
Mhm.
functionality of quick setting the hour hand was just really, really cool. And also it just like, you know, there's a certain genre of pilot watches like the Big Pilot, which have always historically been big, and I would argue they should be big.
Yeah.
It's the Big Pilot. It says it right on the tin. If it's a big pilot and it doesn't look like a big watch, then I don't know what to tell you.
I was bummed by the
Sorry.
43 millimeter, honestly. Like
Dude,
when they
it's
came out.
46.
No, I know, but remember they
Oh,
came out with
okay.
the 43
Oh no,
version,
same.
but they
I
still
agree.
call it the big pilot. I'm like,
I
but
know.
it's not the
I know.
biggest pilot. We want the biggest pilot.
I felt like they kind of defanged it a little bit. I was like, ah, it's the medium-sized pilot. Like, ah, it
Yeah.
doesn't quite have the same ring to it. And
Yeah.
again, no shade to anybody who bought the
No,
43.
no, no, no.
They did amazing things to that case.
It's
I'm on record for saying that you know, the overall size or footprint of a case, you know, is not the only measurement that matters. And what's unique about the time zoner, and this is why I've always liked it since 2019, it's 46 on paper, but because of the rotating bezel, the dial opening is relatively normal. Like it wears just like a 43 or 44 millimeter watch. And having
yeah.
worn Panerai for many years and lots of other big watches, like it always felt fine for me to wear. Yeah, and then an opportunity this year came up where a friend of a friend was letting go of his Woodland edition, so it's like the green
Yeah.
ceramic, and I was just like, I can't not. Like the Woodland is such a sick vibe.
Look at your sweater.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The
I couldn't
writing's on the
not.
wall.
I could not. So I did. I can't remember. I had another large watch that I let go of and traded some stuff and
Okay.
snapped it up and I know I have it on a camo strap now that I'm really happy about.
Oh,
It
sweet.
just looks so sick. But yeah, it's a killer watch, but people see it and they think that it's a dual time or something. So it's an amazing use of the Vogard patent that IWC bought. I think it was a Vogard created that sort of clutch mechanism for jumping the hour hand through the bezel, and nothing else does that. It's unique functionality. It's a great traveler's watch,
It's so
but
cool.
only times out in one location at a time.
Yeah.
But
Um, what's the watch that's probably gotten the most wrist time this year, would you say?
oh, it might actually be the watch that I'm wearing currently. I have a JLC Polaris date on, but also
Nice.
with like the green lacquer dial.
Oh,
Um,
sick. Yeah.
has this kind of cool gradient green to it that's just like goes with everything. I have it currently. The homies at Artem Strap just put out their new leather strap line, like Barania leather, I think, which is like what Hermes uses, and it's that kind of calf skin.
Okay, so it's calf.
Um,
Is it a contrast stitch? I can't tell.
no, it's tonal. Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah, it's
Oh,
just full
cool.
tonal. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like Omega has done Barania straps in the past. I mean, honestly, like Apple has like they made a big deal about the Barania straps as well, but looks really good on the green and kind of dresses things down a little bit or dresses it up, I guess,
Is
for the
that
fall. So.
the you mentioned Omega? Is that was that the first Omega in space? Did that come on that strap?
Yeah, it did.
Wasn't
Yeah, it
that on
did. Wow, you have
leather?
a good memory. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the old Foas watches had
Yeah.
them, and there were a few others I feel like, but they and like maybe there were some Aquaterras that I also had a Seamaster 300, which was kind of a misnomer. It was a dive watch with a leather strap. I feel like there was versions of the Seamaster 300, like the vintage one, that also came on the brain. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
like nostalgically, I love this kind of aesthetic and the color of it. And
That's
the
cool.
Artem ones are really good quality and come on a great clasp. So this is like the perfect fit for this watch. What are you wearing?
I have my Longa on.
Yes, bro. Yes, you do.
I wear it. I wear it all the time. I mean, I really do. I mean, I bought it. I love the outsized date. I'm on record as truly buying this watch to become a daily driver, and so far it's my daughter's favorite. Every time
I
I put
love
it
it.
on, she reaches for my wrist. It's crazy. It's
It
so
has
funny.
it has a pusher for the date, right?
It does, yeah. The
Okay.
little Longa doesn't, but the regular
Okay.
Longa one does.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The little
Oh,
Longa
that's
being
amazing.
like the 36 millimeter or whatever.
Good as
Um,
it gets.
yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with this watch, man. It's
Good as it
yeah.
gets.
What what's not being made that you want to see in watches?
Oh, interesting. That is a very good question. It's
Or are you
funny because
pretty
like if you'd
content?
asked me that last year, I would have been like, "Well, the Pelagos GMT, obviously," and then
Oh,
they
sure.
did that, and so I have that watch now. So I don't. I'm slowly running out of things that would be quote unquote nice to have. You know
Right.
what I am kind of waiting for, to be honest, is the IWC Aquatimer is one of my favorite platforms of all time, and you know, we are many years adrift of having gotten a new Aquatimer. And of course, there's a new Seamaster Planet Ocean that just came out. We'd been waiting since 2016 for the new Planet Oceans, and now we have that. Um, I was told by somebody internally at IWC fairly off the record, I would probably say, but was that the way that they've kind of moved the way that they've moved a lot of their movement productions and a lot of their processes in-house, making an aquatimer with the level of complexity that the last gen, the 3290, I think is the gen that I have with the inner rotating bezel. Mine came from the George Kern era,
Okay.
which has sort of the inner rotating bezel, the helium valve at 9, sort of a modern topography and blocky kind of dial furniture to make something with the level of complexity that they want with all the new in-house procedures and movements and all of that stuff would make it like
$30,000.
a fairly cost prohibitive three-hand dive watch is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to figure out because a lot of people have said that the Ingenieur is expensive, which it is, but the Ingenieur is like really beautifully finished. It's one of those watches like the Planet Ocean that just came out that like you can't just you can't just look at photos of it online and look at the price and say and immediately judge it for that. Like at least try it on, kind of see how it feels, check out the finishing. I was stunned by the finishing the first time I handled the new Ingenuity.
Yeah.
So I just know that IWC is moving at a level that they weren't back when the last two or three generations of the Aqua Timer were floating around. So
I
I don't
think the
know,
biggest
like
complaint on the Ingenue, given the price, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think people generally would say, okay, the Ingenue, way too expensive. Okay,
Yep.
well then why?
Yep.
Well, because it's got the same movement as
Yeah.
XYZ watch for half the price.
Classic.
Okay, fine. But what people don't understand is what you're saying is all the
Yeah.
finishing and
Yep.
bringing everything in house and blah, 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 blah,
Yep.
blah. That's what drives the price. And oh, by the
Exactly.
way, like if that movement is robust enough to do what that thing needs to do, why would you invest in doing a
Exactly.
different movement? And I'm
Exactly.
sure at the end of the day, Chris Granger or whoever uh, is deciding on the profitability of said watch or,
Right.
profit margin, let's call
Right.
it.
Right.
I mean, they're in business to make money, people. Like that's
Hmm.
just like how this stuff works,
Yep.
Sorry, but
Yep.
do I think that the steel should have been 99.50 and the other titanium being 12.5? Maybe. But
Yep.
like, but look, I'm sitting here for a reason, and those people are sitting there for a reason. So
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
yeah, I'm obsessed with the titanium. I still want one.
That's
It's
sick.
it's gonna happen one
That's so
day.
sick.
I'm tapping my foot, just waiting for the ship to come
I
in.
know. I think that is a great question because I think even at the Ingenue event where I saw you in San Francisco last, I got to try everything. I hadn't tried on kind of the full range since the Perpetual came out back at Rodeo. We kind of got
Sure.
that sneak preview earlier
Yep.
in the year.
Hmm.
And so I'd sort of forgotten just how good sort of the other sizes are. The big sizes wear really well. The ceramic is really sick.
Yeah. The
So I
perpetual
was
is like such a
I've
sleeper.
been I've been tempted by the I've been tempted by the Ingenue at every step of the way.
Yeah.
And even it's funny because even the green one, when we saw the green one, like which would later become sort of the quote unquote the Sunny Haze, when we saw the green one earlier this year in the preview, I was just like, okay, what do I need to do to get one of these? But as I'm wearing this green steel watch currently, the Polaris, which I wear a ton, and I was like, well, they're sort of same, they're same but different, and
Yeah.
same but different in the watch box is tough to justify. Um, but it was funny because, in hindsight, the movie went on to be a smash. The
Yeah.
watches sold for 2x the retail for a number of weeks or months, as they became very hard to come by and they sold out fast. And that watch ended up being kind of a smash. So I'm kicking myself a little bit that I didn't
Yeah.
didn't maybe push a little bit harder for that. But I think my heart is saying I'm really gunning for the next gen Aqua Timer, whatever that ends up looking like. But it's funny, the Aqua Timer I know is going to be a tough property because I think it's always been a fairly complicated watch just in
Yeah.
terms of how they're made and all the engineering that's kind of gone into them, even all the way back to like the Porsche Designs ones from like the early days. So
And I think
yeah,
the
it'll be interesting to
clientele is an
see.
interesting subset too,
Yeah, also true. Yeah. But I
because
have so much nostalgia for that those early gens that they launched kind of around Cousteau. There's like Cousteau
yeah.
divers versions,
Yep.
and then around like the Darwin Foundations as well, launching those around the Galapagos. And like
Yeah.
it was such a cool time for the brand to be actively participating in these, various ocean conservation orgs that felt good. So yeah, I'm hoping we get a return to those days. But I don't know. I was more or less told in very not uncertain terms that I might be waiting a while if an
Right.
aqua timer's on the menu. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
You mentioned that IWC event. It was great. For those of you who've missed the little live podcast that Blake and I did, I've got it on my YouTube channel. This episode will also be going up on the YouTube. I'm excited. Thank you for agreeing to do the video as well.
yeah. Absolutely.
I'm pumped to
Yeah.
post
Apologies
these.
to
Um,
everybody.
and so I just realized I forgot a little light to my left that I usually put there when it
Oh,
starts
there
to
you
get
go.
later in the day. But oh well,
No,
deal
you're
with
looking
it.
good, man.
You're the guest,
You're
not
looking
me.
good.
So hopefully people are here to see you in that quaff. So the other thing I was going to say is at that event, you worked with this guy named Tim, who's rad, and he
Yes.
like stitched together some sick reels and some things of that nature on the video front. Um, when companies reach out to you, um, is it a package deal like that, or do they know they're getting two people, or do you hire based on like how does it
Yeah,
work when somebody like actually like calls you and says, what if they
yeah,
just want photos, then you just
that's a
show
good
up, or
question.
like what, how does that work?
No, that's a great question. Yeah, shout out friend of the pod, Tim Williams.
Yeah, Tim.
Amazing, yeah, amazing kind of run and gun event media shooter. And I've known Tim for a good number of years, and we've been lucky enough to work together on a few different things this year and last year, and hopefully more next year. But yeah, usually companies come and like I would say probably my main title is like I am a photographer for sure, but I produce a lot of stuff as well. And generally speaking, like I'll produce something, but I'll usually shoot it also, just because you get kind of deeply involved in stuff and you want to participate at every level if you can.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so I just have I have kind of a roster of DPs and first ACs and directors and different people that I tap for different things depending on the budget and the scope and what the client kind of needs. And with IWC, it was the brief was, event coverage and fast turnaround, and we're running and gunning and a highly mobile setup. And Tim is actually an amazing wedding photographer as well. But we've been
Yeah.
kind of slowly pulling him into the commercial side of things also. But
Speaking of run
he
and gun, I mean, a wedding,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody understands that kind of pressure more than somebody who's done a wedding. I've only done city hall weddings, and I cannot imagine.
Beautiful location.
Yeah,
Beautiful
beautiful
location.
location, but I can't imagine like a higher pressure situation than being outside a zone that you can't control anything else. At least in city hall, you can kind of control some stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it really just kind of comes down to the brief and what the client's after, and Tim was perfect for that. And there's a couple other things that I'm sure he'd be perfect for that I'd love to tap him for in the coming year. And but yeah, it's all. I mean, it's been amazing. I've spent probably the last 10, almost 10 years now in some level of content production or media management with either on the client side or on the production side. And so you definitely start to build out a pretty good roster of people who are good at things. And whether it's having a DP or because a lot of crew sometimes bring their own crew. So like when we were in shooting in the desert last year for the story that I have PTSD from, we were shooting with an arm car, which a U crane as it's called. It's the big arm that attaches to the back of a high performance vehicle,
Usually a
sometimes a Ford
Cayenne.
Raptor.
Yeah.
In that case, I think in that case it was a Ford Raptor, but we had the choice between a Ford Raptor or a Porsche Cayenne that had the arm attached to it as well. So the Cayenne is another popular version because you can put four people in the cab, all of the focus pulling equipment and everything like that. So anyway, so the arm car comes with its own crew, and so oftentimes like we identify sort of what the client's needs are. We start with the director. The director kind of shares his vision for like, we sort of meet in the middle with the director's vision and the client's vision. And then we sort of build the team around that. And the assumption is, or the shared knowledge is that, well, if we get an arm car, that's going to come with these people. And then if we bring in these elements of the shoot, that'll probably come with those people. And then so at the end of the day, like my core team that I'm bringing out is probably only three or four people. And then you have these other little micro teams, micro specialists that have their crews on set. And then you're on set with 20 or 30 people, and it's chaos,
Bonkers.
but it's
Yeah.
controlled chaos, and you make something cool. But
Nice.
yeah, it always just starts with somebody saying like, "Hey, it'd be cool to drive an old car around in the desert." Ah, yeah, it would be cool, I guess. That was let's do that
Sick.
for a
Yeah.
for a watch shoot, sure.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, dude. Well, wrapping up here, you don't have, I mean, you could tell me as much information as you want, but like, what's on the books? Like, where are we going? What are we
Hmm.
shooting?
Oh,
What can you tell us?
oh man.
Anything upcoming? Can you say
That's
where you're going
coming
that you're excited
up.
about?
Yeah.
I mean, if your life's anything like mine, it's like I need 6 months notice or 6 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I sometimes I've gotten 6 hours. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working. I'm always hesitant to say what's coming up because
Don't
oftentimes
want to
I'll say
jinx it.
what's coming up and then it falls through because
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
falls
Yeah.
through, stuff comes in and goes all the time.
Okay.
Um,
I respect that for sure.
there's a big, there's a big motor racing event that happens in January every year, that I just got my flight information for, and I'm hoping that that will still happen. Because that we're kind of we'll be heading into the new year kind of full gas, going straight into that project. So I've got a couple other projects to wrap sort of in December, and then we have that in January, and then I'm in my studio. What you can't see off camera is like there's a big rack of like different kinds of jackets. There's like wetsuits. I have like, the summit suit, the cold weather stuff. I have, the wetsuits. I have all number of layers, and then behind me directly we have all the different cases and pouches for all the different kinds of shoots and stuff. And so going from going from the January production that first week, and then I think we're switching gears and getting really, really cold shortly after that, is the hope. And then I have another sort of underwater project that we're pitching for February, so that
Cool.
we're gonna like use most of the things that are on that clothing rack, hopefully in the first like
Okay.
45 days of the new year. So specifics are always hard because they're tied to brands, or they're tied to
Right.
and then it won't happen. So the more specific I get, that almost certainly
Yeah.
dooms it. So I
That'll,
won't say
yeah,
anything
yeah.
more than
No,
that.
no,
But
that's totally cool.
we
Here's
we
a, here's
definitely have
a
we
here's a
definitely have
side
plans.
question I want to
Yeah,
ask
sure,
you
sure.
based on wetsuits, let's say.
Okay, okay.
Would you rather shoot in warm water or cold water?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know it probably is the foregone conclusion is warm, but I could see why cold water would also be exciting and beneficial, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, that's a great question. So I've shot in the Bay here in San Francisco, like right off the coast of
Oh,
like
that's varying
Treasure
conditions.
Island. Yeah, and I mean, people. To be fair, though, people swim in the bay every day shirtless. Like, there's a whole polar bear crew here that has incredible history of like, swimming in the bay. And they do not give a shit. And it's one of those things that like it's so cold here that like if you go to Hawaii and you acclimatize to warm water, it'll take weeks or months to reacclimate to the cold weather, the cold
Yes.
water here swimming in the bay. So there's people that do it without a care in the world. I need a 5 mil at least. I have a 5 mil Yesbeck, which I still freeze in. Like by after a 30-minute dive, I can't feel my hands or my feet. And you're trying to operate the shutter and stuff. But
Well, when you're
there's a
6% body fat, Zach, I mean,
yeah,
I can
that is also
understand.
a problem. Yeah, going back to the Austria story, I need to ride my bike less, I think is
Yeah.
part of the problem.
I'm more of like a
Um,
seal.
I will say there's a magic to shooting in cold water because everybody's cold. The way you're geared up and bundled up just looks cooler. Like your subject matter usually just looks cooler. I've also shot up on the Sonoma coast as well,
Mm,
where the water is also very cold, but like the clarity is incredible. The marine life is amazing. And you just get stuff in cold water that you don't get to see in warm water as well.
yeah.
So I feel like I like things that look hard, and cold looks hard. Like it reads really well in photography and in videography. Like there's a tangible sense of place with a lot of those images.
Yeah.
Warm water is easy to shoot in. There's definitely fewer hurdles and you can spend more time in it. So I feel like I get better images in warm water because you can just spend more time in it and you can shoot all day. And I shot in Tahiti earlier this year and the water's warm and
Wow.
it's like a huge underwater softbox.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing, but I feel like the subjects don't look as cool because no one's bundled up. Like you're wearing board shorts and like a little,
Yeah,
rash guard or
cold
whatever.
water's
Like,
work, warm water's a vacation, you know.
correct. Yeah, correct. No matter how big the waves are, warm water is a vacation. So, and I feel
What's
like that kind of reads in the photos. And so, in order to make an image be more impactful in those tropical environments, you either
yeah.
have to do more extreme stuff or you have to sort of push the limits more, I would say. So I don't know. I'm both sort of serve their purpose. I think my preference is maybe cold just because you can spend 15 or 20 minutes in the water before everybody's tired of being cold and maybe get something cool versus like shooting for 3 days in warm water and being like, I'm not sure if we got it. Like, like we need to go back in. So Yeah, it's just a matter of preference. But I for sure freeze. And when we shot in the Bay last year, it was in December, which the water temperature doesn't really change that much. It doesn't fluctuate that dramatically between summer and winter, but it was very cold, and the air temp was cold. And I just couldn't get my wetsuit off, so I was just like, well, like my the PA, the production assistant, took my gloves and my booties off, and I just like sat in the cabin of the boat like shivering until we got all the way back to Sausalito, and somebody had to help peel the long john, like the overshirt
Yeah.
jacket of the wetsuit off.
Wow.
Yeah, I just like I couldn't lift my arms past my head to get it off. But
That's
yeah, it was
crazy.
work, and the shots turned out sick, and those are images that I want to frame just because they you get a feeling like a really strong sense of place from them. So I love that.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah,
Zach, thanks, man.
dude, this was so fun. Thank you, and
Good.
congrats again on the suede jacket.
Oh,
It's
thanks, brother.
it's
Yeah, it's
awesome from
I'm
one
stoked
suede
on
boy
it.
to another.
Yeah, 100%. Good deal, man. Well, listen, I appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
This
you
will
as
come
well.
out probably shortly after. But
Amazing.
all good.
Amazing. Wesley, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, buddy. Talk soon.
Stay close. See ya.
Later.
Cheers.